welcome to a very special edition of the Channel 33 podcast. I'm Micah Peters. I'm a staff writer at The Ringer, and I'm here with Brian Tyree Henry, who plays Paperboy on the hit FX show Atlanta.
What's up, man?
Nothing much, man. How you doing today?
We got some stuff to talk about, man.
We do have some stuff to talk about. So you went to Morehouse.
I sure did.
You got your MFA at Yale, and you were in Puerto Ricans in Paris. I did see it.
Playing an African vendor with a damn snake, man. That was insane.
Threatening to flood the market with fake handbags.
Hey, man, that's what you got to do.
You were also on Boardwalk Empire, vice principals. But I remember in the winter of 2011, or was it the beginning of 2012?
What?
Yeah, I went to Eugene O'Neill Theater and saw the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, man.
And you made an appearance on stage as General Butt Fucking Naked.
General BFN, man. That was me, yeah.
How did you land that part?
You know, it's very interesting. At that time, I was doing this really great play at the Public Theater in New York, written by Terrell Alvin McCraney, who was a great friend of mine and classmate. And my agency at the time was like, you should audition for Shrek the Musical. And I was like, wait, coming from this play to, oh yeah, that's a natural progression, I guess. So I went in with all intentions of bombing this audition. I was like, I do not want to play Donkey. I don't want to do, I don't want to do a musical, there's no way. But then I went in and one of my fellow classmates was my reader. So I was like, well, I can't bomb this now because like my homegirl's sitting right there. So I gotta like really try to do something. And so the director at the time was Jason Moore, who you know, was the original director of Book of Mormon. And I left there being like, yeah, I totally bombed that. I totally bombed that shit, we're good. And I got a call from my agency and they were like, so yeah, you didn't get Shrek, but there's this workshop happening for this play called The Mormon Musical. It's written by Trey Parker and Matt, and before she could even finish Matt Stone's name, I was like, yep, because I've been the biggest South Park fan since it premiered, man. I mean, I remember being in front of my television Wednesdays at 10 o'clock and watching, perfecting my Cartman, you know, just like trying to be chef, you know what I mean? So to get that opportunity to work with the two guys who I feel are complete like influences on my humor in my life, I was like, I gotta do it.
Absolutely.
And then when I saw what the part was, I was like, bet it up. Like, okay, I get to do what? And I'm General Butt, because there's a real General Butt Naked, I don't know if you know that. Like there's a real dude that's General Butt Naked, and he was a warlord that would go around circumcising women, killing people, butt naked. Or sometimes dressed as a woman, which I was like, wait, how does, I guess that's scary, I guess, like, and so, seriously. And now he's like he's an evangelist, like he's a Christian, so he spreads the word of Christianity. Wow. There's a documentary about him, and I was like, he's not coming to the show, like at all, right? Like we're good, because I don't want him to see what I'm doing, but.
What is the name of that documentary, just for the record?
I think it's Butt Naked, General Butt Naked.
It's literally just called General Butt Naked.
Yeah, and there was just a day that I was allowed to improv, and Trey, no, don't look it up now. No, seriously, it's real. It's really real.
Okay, all right.
And there was just one day that Trey was like, Brian, why don't you add fuck to everything you say? And so I ended up saying General Butt Fucking Naked, and it stuck. It stuck, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
General Butt Naked, man, he's real. I think we kind of look alike too, actually.
Wow, this is.
Yeah.
Oh, the redemption
yeah,
of
look
General
at that. Yeah, that's
Butt
the one, General Butt
Naked.
Naked. Yeah, man.
Okay, so how do you go from General Butt Fucking Naked?
That's a good question.
To landing the role in Atlanta? How did that come together?
You know, I have one of the best managers in the world, Jen Wiley Stockton, and when we started working together, she really cared to know what I wanted to do. And so she came across this script called Atlanta, and I was like, you gotta be kidding, there's a show called Atlanta? I'm like, nah. And because Atlanta's my favorite city in the world. It's literally where I became who I am today. Like, that's where I discovered that I wanted to be an actor, and some of my best friends are still there, and I just love that city. And so she's like, there's a part I think you'd be great for, Alfred. And so I opened it, and instantly I was like, yeah. Like I know this dude, man. I know exactly who Alfred is. I just smoked with him yesterday. Like, you know, like I have to do this. Like I have to do it. And I went in and auditioned, and you know, it was kind of, you know, in and out. And then by the time I got home, I found out that I was called back to test, like not to the callback, but to test. And so at this time, I was filming Vice Principals. So I flew back to Charleston, South Carolina, and they were like, yeah, you got to come back to test. So I flew in that morning, and they were like, yeah, Donald's going to be in the room. And I was like, I'm sorry, like Gambino Donald? Like Donald who? Like Donald, not that Donald, but like Donald who? And he was there, man, and Hero was there, and we just read the scenes together, and it was like, I was sitting next to family. Yeah. I mean, it was instantaneous because, I mean, I've been a fan of Childish Gambino's forever, and I'm a big fan of his movie Mystery Team. I just think it's the funniest thing ever. And we just played with each other, man. We just talked, and we just tripped, and we ad-libbed, and then by the time I finished that, I had to get on a plane, fly back to finish filming Vice Principals, and by the time the plane landed, they were like, so yeah, you got the pilot. And I screamed on this plane like a crazy person. I'm surprised I didn't get escorted off. Those poor white people were terrified. Like, I'm like, it's a new show. It's called Atlanta. Will you guys watch it? I don't know. I don't think it's for you guys. Like, but it was great. And we filmed the pilot short after, and it was just, the pilot took 6 days, I think. And it was just the most fun ever. It was, you know, like I always say that I'm not going to work, I'm going to go play with my friends, and it's really real. Like, just because they all cut doesn't mean that we were done like hanging out. Like, you could tell the environment of that set, but from like costume designers and hair and makeup and even people at craft service, like we were family. And you show up to work ready to have fun. Like, we shared music and, you know, did all this thing. Like, that's how Tame Impala came into the commercial. Donald decided to play this song while we were filming this commercial. And
new person, same old mistakes.
Yeah, man, and we share music together and all that stuff, and it just reflects in the show. And they're just family. I couldn't have asked to be in a better place, seriously.
And speaking of music,
don't stun on me right now.
I'm not gonna. What's about to happen? I'm not gonna stun on you right now. Okay. I'm not gonna stun you right now. I'm just gonna ask.
Okay.
How did the record, the actual record, the Paperboy record, come together?
You know, man, that was actually the first thing we shot. That was the first thing we shot because when I landed to film the pilot, they were like, "So, music videos first," and I was like, "Wait, what?" And they sent me the song, I'd say like 4 or 5 days before, and I was just like, this is fire, dude. I was like, this song is fire. It was so, and so I would sit there and memorize it, and then they're like, all right, we're gonna shoot the music video, and we went to Bankhead, man. We went to Bankhead, Georgia, to this housing projects there, and there were all these extras coming out in like 7-inch stilettos, and we're like on people's porches, and I'm just like rapping this thing because the actual person rapping the song is Steven Glover, his brother, who's the homie. Like, I mean, Donald and Steven, man, that brotherhood is unparalleled to any. I mean, they're great. I love them.
Fun fact: we have the same barber.
No, you don't. Really?
Yeah, seriously.
All right, yeah. Like,
sense,
actually,
right?
Okay, yeah. No, man, Steven's the homie, man. I mean, just watching those two is like, because the thing that's so great about Donald and Steven is that they're so educated and so smart, but they can make each other laugh, like, you know. And I was like, that's a badge of honor. If I can make Steven and Donald laugh, then I'm good, man. Like, because they're just so, that love is real. You can see it, and it's the symbiosis where you can see if Donald is thinking about this, Steven can come in and hitch. And that goes for the whole writing team. Like, all the writing team is so fantastic, man. Femi and then Stephanie, like, they're all great. They're all great. And you can just see that there's this kind of, this glue that keeps them together. Like, their humor is right on par with like how we felt on set and things that we say. And Donald's just really good at streamlining that and figuring out how to tell that story, and it's so great. I love being on the set, man.
So I remember reading in, I believe it was an interview with Vulture or The Guardian, I can't remember, but you were talking about creating the Paperboy character, and citing like Chance the Rapper and Donald himself and Anderson .Paak as like character studies, but like, how did you get into what did you pull in to make the character? Because it seems like you focus more on like his traits or his habits.
Yeah, I wanted to. I didn't really necessarily want to model him after any hip hop artist because that would have gotten old really quick. Because that's the great thing about hip hop is that you come in as an individual. Whatever your story is, whatever, you know, you can be anybody, come from any walk of life, as long as you have a story to tell, then, you know, it's fire. But I didn't want to model him after anybody because I don't think that when hip hop artists become stars that they think they'd ever become models of anything. They just came as they were. So what I really wanted to do was really focus on who Alfred was. Like, because I really believe that we all have an Alfred, man. Like, everyone has an Alfred. I don't care what, everyone has an Alfred. And I just really thought about the Alfreds I have in my life, you know, and that some of those influences are my best friend Kenny Thomason that I went to college with, and he also ended up going to Yale as well, and my homeboy Will, and my father especially, because my father used to throw these dope ass parties at our house when I was a kid. And, you know, everyone's smoking and drinking, playing cards, and just like, you know, but they would turn up like real hard.
A regular kickback.
And I just wanted Alfred to be that dude that people could see and really relate to and be like, oh yeah, I know that dude. Like, I know that dude. Oh, that's my cousin. And yeah, yo, I just said that yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't really want to model him after anybody. I just really wanted him to not be stereotyped and to be labeled, because throughout the show you see that happening to him anyway in this world.
Like the end of the Black Bieber episode where she says,
man.
You're the rapper, everybody wants you to be that.
Right?
So,
and I'm like, wait, what though? Like, wait a minute. So I really just wanted him to be a guy that people could relate to, and also there's not a lot of representations of Alfreds out there, and if there are representations of Alfreds, it usually ends the same way. He's dead or goes to jail or stays in that life. But with Alfred, I really wanted him to have some levity, to have a sense of humor, to be cultured, to be intelligent, to be petty as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, which I think is really showing, because I mean, pettiness is the greatest thing. Pettiness 2016 campaign right here. So the
scene where you are, first of all, let's just back up. Let's talk about the fact that you introduced Justin Bieber as a straight up black character.
With no apologies.
No apologies, no explanations.
Nah, man, I don't think it's necessary, because it's like, you know, Atlanta is its own universe. I feel Atlanta is a mecca. It's a black mecca, and it's created so much culture and created so many trends and it's constantly always evolving.
Largest black middle class.
You know what I mean? And you know, the place of civil rights and HBCUs. You know what I mean? So what I think was great about that episode is you get to watch Alfred kind of give into this fame a little bit, kind of give into the fact like, yo, I'm MVP, bro. Like, I'm about to kill this, and you're playing with Jaleel White and Lloyd, you know, and Lil Zane. He's like, I've come up in the world. And then all of a sudden, you know, Justin Bieber comes in, and you know, and he's a dick. But also making him black kind of removed any kind of whatever notions we thought about the Justin Bieber that we know in real life. It allowed it to play out in a way and gave me a lot of room, and that actor Austin Crute who played Justin Bieber a lot of space to really do and say the things we want to do and say to Justin Bieber. Like, because Justin Bieber's crazy, which is fine. But this is, I mean, I think he's the best prototype of what fame does, you know what I mean? And
been in the public eye for 7 straight years.
You know what I mean? And you're this young white boy that has like a soulful voice, and people are dying over you, but at the same time, you know that you're white and you know you're privileged, and you're like, I'm gonna just do this, and people are gonna like put me on your shoulders and carry me up the Great Wall. Like, wait, what?
It's like, there's actually like the best episode of this is Stay With Me.
I'm with you.
Watch how deep this is.
Okay, look, do this, dude. Get me in the wormhole.
No, what I'm talking about is that there's this episode of Twilight Zone where this guy basically dies and goes to purgatory, but purgatory is this casino where he can't lose at any game.
Oh, wow.
And initially he thinks he's in heaven, but then realizes through the monotony that this is literally the darkest timeline.
Do you watch Black Mirror?
Yeah, I do.
Are you into this season right now?
I just started.
Me too.
But I'm not like, I'm only one episode.
Okay, like that, I think that's kind of what we wanted to do. Like, we wanted to make it very, well, Donald used to describe it as Twin Peaks for rappers, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because fame and being a rapper, which he would know, is strange, man. It's strange the things that you, can get away with, the things that are given to you, the things that people take away from you, and how much is expected of you. But yet, if I'm rapping about this, this, and that, why would you automatically think that I'm gonna be about this, this, and that, you know? So I think with the Justin Bieber episode, which is great, is it also kind of threw at us, like, what do we think celebrity is?
Right.
How do we take down the guise of celebrity, you know? Because at the end of the day, yeah, I did shoot somebody, but, you know, I don't understand why this guy just called these fans all kinds of bitches and is up here saying nigga this and nigga that, you know what I mean? And y'all don't really care about
the hard R.
You know, with the hard R, with the hard ER, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the Gambino verse.
It
but,
is.
Yeah. But I'm just like, no one seems, it's amazing the passes that are given to people sometimes when they're celebrities. And I think that Alfred is just trying to find his way through that because this fame is not something he necessarily asked for. And now he has to.
Yeah.
And he's in his town. Like, this is his town. This is his home. So now he has to navigate these streets completely differently now because, you know, he's on the come up.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know, he really doesn't know how to do this and be anything but who he is. And that's kind of the essence of what I wanted for Alfred. And I've noticed that I only call him Alfred. I rarely call him Paperboy because, you know, Paperboy is the public. You know, Paperboy is the thing that everyone sees him for, but
the foil for,
you know what I mean?
Alfred, yeah.
Like Batman and Bruce Wayne.
There you go.
Oh, that was deep.
That was deep.
That was deep, man. Wow. I like that. Paperboy, alter ego. But yeah, I just really wanted Alfred to. I really wanted there to be a representation that people could look at and say, you know what, I know him, and I heard my cousin say that the other night. Oh, remember how he wears that purple polo? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted Alfred to be the voice of reason, or the voice of you know, people like me. You know, like he gives me the outlet to do and say things that I necessarily, as Brian, can't really do. Like I'm not running around slapping people with cash as much as I want to.
That was so good.
Like as much as I'd like to, but Alfred, man, I think he just represents that side in all of us that just doesn't want to be overlooked and is incredibly loving and has a huge heart. You know.
Yeah. You were talking about how, like, basically each episode kind of operates, like, in this thing that's, like, adjacent to reality.
Yeah.
Like, how there's something, like, sinister lurking about the edges. So you have those supernatural elements, like Miles with the invisible car.
And the pet peacock.
And the pet
he couldn't
peacock.
just stunt with an invisible car. He had to bring a pet peacock and buy the bar.
And the dog with the Texas on him or whatever.
Donald is good at setting up these, the mind of Donald Glover, man, is just brilliant because he is so unafraid. He's so unafraid to turn the scope on the viewer too. You know, I find with our show, I have to watch the episodes maybe 3-4 times, and I still find stuff I didn't see before. I still find things that are hidden within that I didn't even notice before. Like one of my favorites is, I think it's episode 3 with the Migos, and they're trying to find parking, and the dude comes up with the lightsaber, and he like jacks up the price, and then as they drive away, he goes, "We all we got." I'm like, wait a minute, like, wait, dude, that's your selling point, but he's right, you know what I mean?
$7, $6, come on,
we all
man.
we got.
Yeah.
It's so brilliant, man, and Donald is so good at just pulling that out and just like putting it out there for people to see, and
yeah, like in the episode that's actually going to be airing tonight, the Juneteenth one.
Juneteenth,
yeah.
man.
There's the scene
great.
where he's in the study at the bougie house party, and the lady's white husband, who's just like enthralled with black culture, is literally painted a picture of a muscle-bound 7-foot black dude slaying a chimera.
Yeah, a chimera.
And he's just like,
and it's just like, and that's why I like Ern's reaction, like, the fuck? Like, what? And my favorite, like, I mean, and big ups to Cassandra Freeman, who plays the wife. That's a good buddy of mine. And she plays the wife of this white man. But how many times have we been in that situation, though? Like, I mean, it's just like, I love it. My favorite thing is when someone of Caucasian persuasion likes to just come to me like, it's different if I'm dressed like this, it's a handshake. If I'm dressed like me, it's already like this. And I'm like, I didn't even ask. I didn't say I wanted that. But you know what, though? I mean, this is what I'm liking about our show, is that it's sparking a conversation that we have all been bubbling to have. Like, we've all felt these things. We've all seen these things. We all know what this is. It's no different than the pilot with the homeboy being like, yeah, really, nigga? Yeah. You know? And then it's me sitting there, and all of a sudden you shook. But it's this allowance, I feel, that's happening lately because people are very verbose about how they really feel lately, and usually how they really feel is incredibly negative. And we've gotten to a place where we're really tired of being stifled and made to feel like how we feel is wrong, or that there's nobody out there that has the same opinion that we do. And I feel like Atlanta just puts it out there and is like, here you go. How about we address all that stuff and you take from it what you will. If you think that that's important, then do. If you think Dodge Chargers are this, then we'll do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just so great, the layers that this show is providing, because I feel like regardless of what race or gender or sexuality you are, this show can speak to you about something and gives you a place to feel like you can crack up about it and really laugh at it, because it is absurd. You know, but what's absurd to some is normalcy for others. So I feel like that's what our show is aiming to do, and I hope we're doing it.
Yeah. Speaking of Dodge Chargers,
Uh-oh.
the BAN episode is literally an episode of the Chappelle Show.
Yeah, that's great. That's the best compliment I've ever gotten. That's great.
It's like.
But that was the gift of Chappelle, though, right?
Right.
Like I will never forget when this fool decided to do the niggers, the episode.
The nigger
like,
family, yeah.
Oh, nigga, please, please. And he's the milkman. I was like, wait, what? This is amazing. Like, I remember in college when that show came out, and this is how I kind of feel, and I'm hoping with Atlanta. When Chappelle Show came out, I was like a sophomore in college or junior in college, and me and all my friends every Wednesday night would get together, go to the homie's house, you know, burn it out, and then watch the Chappelle Show. It was a community thing that had to happen.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a show like that in a very long time. I think the last show that, you know, you call the friends over, well, for me, it was, it was I think How to Get Away with Murder. Which, I'm sorry, it's still fly. I watch every Shondaland show. I still watch Grey's Anatomy. I don't care what anybody says, it's still dope. But I like what Atlanta does because it's so much better together. Yeah. Which is the theme, I think, of how we want to walk in this life, because it's once you realize that the person next to you may see something that you didn't, and you go, oh, wait a minute, what was that? Let's catch that. Like, I can't watch Atlanta with my friends because we always have to rewind it, because people are still laughing or pointing out something that we didn't see before. And I hope that that's what's going on across America, and that people are sparking conversations and are happy and are laughing at the absurdities of this world that we encounter sometimes. And I just feel like Atlanta is just, you know what, as a matter of fact, this is how I know Atlanta's working, okay? So I will never forget, after the episode BAN, after Black American Network, I needed to rent a car, and I needed to go out of town for a weekend. And I go to Enterprise, rent a car. I hope that's cleared, that I can say Enterprise. And I go to Enterprise, and, you know, it was a Latino dude and a black dude behind the counter. Yeah. And, you know, I'm still trying to get used to being recognized. So they see my ID, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, and you live in Harlem too, dude? I was like, yeah, I live in Harlem. So he's like, all right, we got your car ready. It's a Dodge Charger. They were like, yeah, man, we want you to keep it in divorce. I was like, see? That's what I want, man. Like, I love that Enterprise got jokes. So, you know what I mean? Like, I love that they, I just love that, man. It's the funniest thing. It's the funniest thing to me that people are coming together and sharing this humor and doing it in the best possible way. Like, Black Twitter, Twitter during Tuesday nights is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
It's the best place to be.
It's just the best place to be.
It's the best place to
be. Someone said it coming, like, Atlanta is Black Twitter personified. I'm like, okay, cool, we'll go with that. And it just gives a community. I think that it made its own community. It makes a community from people from all walks of life, and we can just talk about this stuff, man. You know, and do it intelligibly and just keep on going. You know.
Yeah. It's also just like it kind of hits that sweet spot in between, like how every Black film or thing on TV is like either you are a caricature or a superhero. Yeah, man. And it's just like, these are just people living their lives.
There doesn't seem to be in between. Yeah. It has to be either far left or far right, and especially because of the color of our skin, there are things and stories being told that aren't necessarily ours. They're told through the viewfinder of other people, you know what I mean? And I think that what Atlanta is doing is, like, at the end of the day, yeah, it's in Atlanta, and yes, these characters are Black, but everything about this story is ours. It's our story, and we never said you couldn't relate to it. You know, people will see it and instantly go, well, that's not for me, because you see 3 Black men with peaches in their mouths. Yeah. But you didn't realize at the end of the day, it's about all kinds of things, all social issues, things that aren't even that relevant. You know, we just want to talk about it. We want to make a malt liquor commercial. Where can we do that? Why not on our show? You know what I mean?
One for Philly Blunts.
You know what I mean? Like Swisher Sweets, man. Y'all know, as soon as you saw that knife come out, all of you knew. Everyone
exactly
knew
what was
exactly what was happening. I don't care what race you were. You knew that you liked it more For the taste. You like the taste. You like it more for something else. So I like that about our show, that it does that.
Yeah. So a way that I've seen that you've referred to Z and Keith and Donald in past interviews is that you would drive their Bronco.
I have to stop this. Like, I have to stop saying this, but it's the only analogy I can think of that's really real. Like, when AC got that call, he was like, regardless, man, I'm going to go and get my friend. And that's really, really how I feel about them. I mean, I have never experienced anything like this on a television show before. And it was just instant. It was instant chemistry, instant love, instant support. And they have been the backbone of a lot of my strength in the past year, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for them. You know what I mean? So I would drive their Bronco for them, and you know, because AC got off, right? He didn't go to jail, so I would drive their Bronco. But I love them, man. I mean, I love them, and you know, because it's real easy to find a lot of shows where people don't get along and people don't want to tell this story. People want to do, but we're just along for the ride, man. I don't think any of us expected Atlanta to do what it's doing, but we believed in it so damn much that it was like, there's no other recourse but to keep doing it and keep striving. And they're my family, man. They're my family, and I love them. And you know, here's to another season, man. Like,
yeah, man.
Here's to another season of it. I mean, I always say I'm going to play with my friends. It was, even if I wasn't called that day, I would go to set just to see what was going on, just to make sure that, you know, we were having fun, and we always did. And it would not have been possible without every single person that had a hand in Atlanta. I mean, it was the best experience of my life, and I'm just so glad that people are loving it, because the fans of Atlanta, man, I've never seen such grace in my life. People are so kind and so great. And one of my favorite things that people say to me is, we really needed this. And I'm like, I never even thought about that. Like, when's the last time I saw a show that I felt like I needed? Like, you know, and it just won't, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I will always thank the fans. I will always say hello. I will always take your artwork, because the Atlanta fan artwork is fire, first of all. I have never seen such imaginative stuff like the Atlanta artwork, and I feel like our show gives people the space to kind of do that, and I want to keep doing that. I want all the artwork. I want all the typography. I want all of it, and because I feel like it's inspiring people to go out there and create stuff, especially people of color, especially people from the South, especially people who felt like they want to make it and have a dream, but they can't really get there. And you know, we want to be that beacon, man. We want to be that lighthouse to guide people to the right place of creativity. So I hope that we're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, looking forward.
Okay.
Because you gave Paperboy Alfred, excuse me.
I was like, what?
Sorry, I'm so sorry. You gave him his traits, like he likes to smoke weed, he likes to play video games, he's a Virgo.
You really read my, man, I'm like, man, you family now, man. Thank you for that, man. That's great.
What about, like, as he becomes more successful and gets to branch out into different things, like, what can you see, like, what pies is Alfred gonna have his fingers in?
Honestly, man, I want the petty game to be so up, like, next season. Because my vision for Alfred is that by this time, the fame will actually have gotten to his head. Like, remember that time when Drake was going through that period of trying to get swole and everything and trying to be...
It's still going on.
And I'm like, Drake, but why? Like, what? But
the
why?
forearm tattoos.
You're still singing. You're singing me
the...
great R&B hits. So I don't really understand. But then he'll spit a mixtape, and then you're like, oh wait, hold up, there he is. Like, there he is. I kind of want that for Alfred. Like, I want, I want Alfred to start wearing like Billionaire Boys Club and stuff like I want him to really start smelling himself, and then have to come back down to reality. Because the thing about the show is that Alfred always has to come back down.
Yeah.
Like, he always gets there when he thinks he's there, and then it's always like, so I feel like next season, I want him to smell himself so hard that the fame has kind of gotten to his head, and then it's just a series of just unfortunate events for him. Like just a series.
A barrage
I
of
want
L's.
like he goes into a Target and is like, why is my CD in here? Hold up, we're there. Like what's going on? Like I don't know, and it's exciting. I have no idea, but I do think that his friendships and his familial structure will get a little deeper and broader. I mean, there's no telling, man. I mean, Donald, like there is no telling what's gonna happen with Paperboy, man. Like, but I really hope that he continues to be the chief of pettiness. I hope he opens a petting zoo and calls it a petty zoo.
A petty zoo.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no boundaries on Alfred. I don't think. I think he can go anywhere.
Cool. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Me too.
Cool. I appreciate you stopping by.
Of course, man.
This has been an emergency podcast on the Channel 33 Network. I'm Micah Peters. I'm a staff writer at The Ringer. And this is Brian Tyree Henry.
Sitting under Trump, which does not reflect my heart, just so you know. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Later.